This episode of the Closeout Bodyboarding Podcast is presented by Bodyboarding Victoria and Nomad Bodyboards. Check out the all-new range of Nomad boards, including the Lachlan Cramsey, Matt Lackey, Michael Novi, and Sam Thomas models at your local bodyboarding or surf specialist store, or online at www.nomad.com.au. Now, back to the crew in the studio.
Welcome to the Closeout Bodyboard Podcast, where a bunch of good mates discuss everything bodyboarding. My name's Chris Watson. I'm here today with Shane Britton. How are you, mate?
Watto, how are you, buddy?
Oh, living the dream.
No Benny today.
Where's Benny?
Mate, he has become the David Lee Roth of this little outfit we've got here, mate.
I was thinking like
he has gone solo.
the Freddie Mercury. Stole his wardrobe too.
Oh, wow. So he's actually working, so we won't take the piss out of him too much, but he's got a new job, and I actually rang him last weekend or the weekend before, and I said, what are you doing, mate? He's going, I'm at the new job. I said, where are you? And he goes, so I'm sitting at it was Sunday morning too.
Yep.
And he goes, well, I'm in a strange house, and I'm sitting on a couch, changing batteries in devices.
Wow.
And I went, wow, he's got his dream job finally.
All I can think about is remember on the Anchorman where old mate's he's like, I woke up and I was in someone's house and they would not stop screaming. There's little Benny O with his with his costume on.
So in today's ep, we're lucky to have a special guest. He is a staunch Port Macquarie local.
Yes.
He has been the president of the PMBA back in the day. He's been a world tour judge, staunch drop kneer, creator of the drop knee sessions. Clayton Pickworth, how are you, mate?
G'day, guys. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on, mate.
Yeah, it's good. Been a while, mate. What is it? 17 episodes? You're finally getting someone decent on.
Shots fired. Wow.
Just another pleb. Suck that one.
I was going to say, cop that lucky. Oh, dear.
No, you guys are all right.
Well, we kept trying to get you on, but you've been doing all these surf trips, mate. What the hell? You're away more than anyone.
Been a year of the surf trip, that's for sure for me. Thank you to my lovely wife, that's for sure. But it's been a wonderful year so far, and more good things to come, obviously, and we'll obviously have a bit of a chat about those things coming up.
I'll give us a rundown on that. Where have you been? I know you went on a little trip only a couple of weeks ago with our good mate Nathan Clark.
Yeah, back in, I guess the first one was in May. Caught up with Jake Sharp prior to May, obviously. Bit of a planning phase of he wanted to go back to Samoa, to Aganoa, and we'd been there in 2011 on a full DK trip with like Grant Maloney, Brandon Dawson, Sharpie, myself, Justin Welsh, Dane Pope. Took along Matt Brocky and Trev Ross to capture all the goodness. Matt Klimowitz as well. So had a fair rack of dudes there, and staunch DK supporters. So it was a epic trip. Like, we got some killer waves, and we got cracking photos out of it. Brocky shot so much good water stuff. Trev got the epic land angles and stuff like that. So we really wanted to go back and revisit that break once again, and Sharpie was the main instigator of that. So, so I thought, can't resist warm water and, get away from our winter. And Sharpie organised that with Keith, the owner over there, who we met in the first trip. And, off we went for 8 days of glory in lovely Samoa. Got good waves, so pretty much only one day where we didn't really surf, when the wind was about 3 knots onshore. The conditions were epic once again, and Trev came along and got us some pretty good photos once again. And then just before I sort of took off from there, Sprat rang me and said, what are you doing at the end of June? I said, gee whiz, not much, I don't think. Why? And he's like, want to come with the boys to Fiji. I was just like, oh, shit, I'm in trouble.
The old rubber arm.
Yeah, it went way behind the back, and the missus got the other one and went, oh, what are you doing? But no, I'd never been on like Spratt and I went to school together. Spratt was a little bit 2 years older than me at high school, but obviously through PMBA and meeting up and living very close together in our childhood. We've known each other for many years, and he was in my wedding party, and never been on a surf trip with him overseas. And Chris Harris, another Port local who I went to school with, and Trent Bullivant, who was in Nathan's year, we all just sort of banded together and off we went. And we had a week down the Coral Coast chasing some waves, and had some really good surf guides there to take us out to the certain breaks that we wanted to surf. I won't mention too many, but we got some okay waves, and then one sort of decent session where we got a few little photos and stuff like that. But everyone in that session got a couple of smokers, and it was just good to see that everyone was catching a few good ones, but also everyone viewing them as well, so we all got to see each other get, the excitement of catching pretty good waves, and the first time we would ever been on a surf trip together. So, it was a short trip, but well worth it.
I was going to say it, with that cast on that trip, it would have been dangerous to be a beer around those places, wouldn't it?
Oh, mate. So we go to our room, and we find that we've got a beer fridge in each room, and we're like, oh, how good's this? So we're like, all right, we're going to go hit one of the local shops, and hit it. We did. Holy weaver, they didn't see what was coming. Anyway, Harris walks in and goes, come out with this like really funny look on his face, like a sort of half surprised, half like let's get the fuck out of here look on his face. And I'm like, what's going on? He's going, you wouldn't believe. I was totally blown away. I walked in there. Everyone's behind a cage. Like they have all their alcohol and everything behind cages.
Oh,
for obvious reasons in some parts, I guess. But
they heard you guys were coming.
I was like, you're lucky I didn't go in with you, Harry. You would have been arrested. But no, he came out and he found these like ginger beer type, set up a local company that makes them in Fiji. And because Chris doesn't drink a lot of beer as such, he's more of a Canadian club sort of fella. And anyway, found these ginger beers, and he's gone, I'm going to try some. And they were 8%. And mate, you'd have one of those and just blow your head off. But they couldn't stop. They kept going back and back for more. And the fridge got fuller and fuller. And the frequency of the camp bar just got less and less. We were just sitting on the balcony of our room, just tinkering on and talking shit as you do when you're away. But yes, it was very dangerous to be a beer that whole week. That's for sure.
Well, Watto and I have been on a couple of trips with Spratt because now he's a Vico local. He's all over it.
Well, I've had a few trips to Port Macbolo with Spratt.
Oh yeah,
and I think we got I think we got his brother Stuart, with the loyalty points from how many beers we racked up on his card from.
Yeah,
would have done all right.
Hammering.
Very good.
But no, those two trips are really good, and it'd been a while, since we've been away and stuff like that. But the bonus was to get a few waves, and we did. So very happy at the moment.
So talking about obviously you've been mates with Spratt for a long time, and growing up in Port Mac, you would have grown up sort of in the golden era of bodyboarding and that up there. You were probably really lucky to be in that age group.
Very lucky, mate. Very lucky.
Yeah. So what's the deal like at that time? Sort of, I guess being born and raised in Port Mac. Where did it all start for you up there?
I guess I just followed my the people in high school. Nothing too crazy through primary school. I finished primary school in sort of like the bicentennial year, so it would have been when bodyboarding worldwide was sort of taking off in that sort of late 80s to the early 90s region, but it didn't sort of really hit us until probably the 90s when we hit high school, and people were looking for something to do. There was a couple of guys in our year that were in the surf club who had keys to the surf club that so after we'd go surfing and stuff, we'd hooked up with them for free hot showers in the surf clubs and stuff. So, but yeah, it would have all started from seeing guys like Eppo, Stewie Clark, Wayne Hatfield, Rob Cotter, They were all the first initial guys in my eyes, anyway, that I can remember in Port Macquarie that sort of really took it off. From surfing contests, actually, down at Middle Rock at Lake Cat-Eye, just south of Port, was the first contest that I've been given history of that ran a bodyboarding contest along with the surfing by a guy named Paul Dawson. Paul used to he ended up being the Moray rep and owned a bodyboard store called Hydro Surf back at Flynn's Beach in the day. He was one of the first guys, along with a bloke called Ven Semitikolis, who had Paradise Surf back in the day in Port. They sort of teamed up and did the first bodyboarding contest along with surfing. So I've got photos of it. I've got the draw. I've got all the names and everything that Paul sent me back in around about would have been maybe 91, 90. I'm thinking maybe. I'll have to check the date, but and then from there, obviously. Yeah, you talk about Golden Era, Holy Dooly. There's so many names that we unfortunately had to grow up with because we had to compete against them because they were so good. But, mate, you're talking about, Todd DeGraff, Rick Bannister, Todd Lee, Luke Berman, Steve Sonner. The list just is. I'd leave so many names out. It's ridiculous from Port Macquarie, and then obviously going through the second phase, what I call it, with then the upcoming Damien Kings and the like. We just got
all those guys.
Yeah, mate, we got hammered. That's why we're the little street plebs, and they're the pros because they just flogged us. But yeah, growing up in that era, and thought I lived like a street away from me, growing up around near Hastings Public School. So we'd get on our treadleys and go for arvo surfs down Lighthouse and stuff like that. And it was very, very good for your contest and bodyboarding skills. But at the same time, it was a fucking big reality check.
Yeah.
Because they were just so good. But when Toddy used to live across the road from the Lighthouse Beach down on Matthew Flinders Drive there, that was the meeting point. Everyone would go to Toddy's house and hang out in the front lawn and go surfing. And then obviously Ash Murray and Adam Murray, who were living sort of around the back of Flinny's there at the time, and Shelley's, they always had the international guys coming and staying with them. Lance and Jay and Vicky would travel over, Pat Caldwell, Kisazaki. They had the connections big time, and they brought the pros over to visit our club when it went from sort of like Hastings Bodyboard Club over to Port Macquarie Bodyboarding Association. And then obviously, Eppo smashed it when he won the world title, and it just blew up from there. So I'm very, very lucky to grow up in that period and see what it was seeing, and then obviously move on to other things in my career when I was in and out of the club sort of thing around the late 90s.
What do you think? Obviously, you're on the spot. What do you think was the catalyst for Port Macquarie being such the hotbed for talent at that time? Because you're talking about the competitiveness and everything as well, but there has to be, at the end of the day, some sort of driver that pushes everyone firstly into bodyboarding and not surfing at the time. But then on top of that, developing that skill. What do you reckon was the catalyst at the time for that?
There was a father called Jim Brabant. His son, Marcus, used to be a pro surfer in town in Port Macquarie, sponsored by Burn Surfboards in Billabong back in the day. Yep. And Jimmy used to go and take him everywhere. It was like a soccer dad, you know what I mean? He'd just take him to training, take him to soccer games. Jimmy did the same with Marcus with surfing. But along with that, Jimmy had a passion for filming. So he would film every session, every arvo surf after school, absolutely everything for his son. And then Eppo came in with Jimmy as well. They sort of hooked up, and then Pete Gleason hooked up with Eppo to train to go to Hawaii. So from there, that catalyst was for me to see that professionalism, I guess, go to like these whole training sessions and all this, we're training to go to Hawaii, we're holding rocks underwater, doing breathing and practicing our contests from the beach, putting our flippers on and running out and doing a 20-minute, filming session and coming back in and, sort of revisiting what we did in that 20 minutes and how we could have done it better in a heat and all this sort of stuff. That then transponded over into the club. Eppo's mum and dad at the time, John and Kath, took it on and it just exploded. The club just went to crazy heights. So once a month on a Sunday, usual club day, mate, we'd have 120 plus kids and rocking up going, I want to compete against those dudes.
Wow.
Like, it was insane. We'd run from sun up to sundown, 2 banks all day, and just Mr. Eppo just yelling all day to the top of his lungs, "Judges, give me some judges," and get your ass off that chair. And he would just all day nonstop. And Mrs. Eppo would sit in the tally chair. Like, that's when the days when you manually had to tally every sheet and every wave and all that sort of stuff to get a result, and then update the scoreboard and all this sort of stuff to see who progressed into the next heats and stuff. So when you got to at least like a final on a club day, you were, regardless of the result, you were like, wow, I'm killing it. I'm doing really good now, And that was just making the division final on a club day because there was that many good kids. And so that to me ticks that box. I think is the start when Eppo and that really took it to a professional level of the training side of things and prepping to go for a Hawaii season and things like that, because they knew the importance if they got over there and they actually made a few good waves, how their career would go, or hopefully it would expand. You get a shot and all that sort of stuff. Everyone knows you get a few good shots at pipe. Boom, you're in the next minute, Eppo's doing that massive big air off the wall or something that's on the back of the Tracks magazine.
Yeah.
So back in those days, everyone's like, wow, like that's a bodyboarder. That never happens, So it was groundbreaking. And from there, as I said, just transplanted over into clubland, and then it just exploded from there.
On top of that, one thing that's sort of notable at that time, from my time, reading Riptide and all that as well, was one good thing I thought was you guys developed women up there as well.
Yep.
100%,
obviously, you mentioned Vicky earlier. I mean, obviously, Britt Kennedy was out of there as well. And they're probably the 2 women that were most notable in the magazines and that at the time.
Yeah, exactly, mate. They definitely made a name for themselves big time here. But Amanda Harris, Fiona Hodge, Tracy Holmes. There was a lot of Natalie Robson, Emma Roby end up coming through, Gina Benowith. There's a heap of them actually that did really. Nerida Murray, I remember, did really well in the Australian tour and the scenes in the state titles and stuff. So we had a lot more than what I can even name, to be honest. And they were a power to them, mate, because they were groundbreaking back in the day for us. I can still remember the back pages of the Riptides and stuff, when they did start to promote the women, where they do, Stroey and that, or Tully Tolman would come down and they'd specifically take them surfing along with Eppo and the boys and that as well, because they knew that side was really going to explode. And they wanted to be there to capture all that stuff as well. So they promoted those women really well, and they held their own as well. So, kudos to them.
So stepping back a bit further, Pico, what got you, when did you start bodyboarding, and what sort of got you into it early on in the piece?
Back to basically the school days, mate. Just as you do when you're a kid, you sort of go with the flow of what your friends are doing at the time. And like going, as I said, Hastings Public School is quite close to the coast, I guess, near the back of sort of Shelley Beach area. And then moving from there on to Eastport High or down near Port City Bowler, where that is, Watto. The high school there, you're right on Oxley Oval and Oxley Beach and Town Beach. So it just sort of made sense that we got into surfing and instead of picking up a hard foam surfboard, we grabbed a trendy bendy at the start and off we went. And that was the most popular thing for us young kids at the time. As you said, the sport was exploding around that sort of period. And so then it went from, the Kmart or Big Dub trendy bendy with some fins in the bottom to no, Mum, I need a Max 7.7, thank you. And I'll have that under the tree by the end of the year. The parents sort of had to scramble around and get $300 or $400 or whatever it was back then to to put that present under the tree at the end of the year, so you could sort of jump into the club without looking like too much of a Dilbury. And, and then then you go through all the fluoro wetsuits and steamers with the zippers up the back of the calf and stuff like that, and see who could look the most bizarre at the time, because there was a lot of fluoro stuff hanging around, and but yeah, that's where
we to that stage.
Yeah,
Benio's still in that stage.
yeah, he's still got his, I reckon, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where it all sort of stemmed from, mate. And then the stuff that happens after that, well, people leave town, they follow their careers and families and whatever, but they still got the passion for the sport, which is great. And it's for me, it's given me a lot. A lot of good friendships as well. So stoked that, I sort of followed that path right from, as I said, end of primary school and start of high school.
It's funny, every time that I go to Port Mac and I drive past that school, I think about how cool it would have been to go to school there and jump across the road and go for a surf, and like mad free periods, just duck over the road and go and surf some waves and then sneak back in. Like that would have, it's in a really cool location, and yeah, it's a really cool.
There was a lot of free periods that weren't free periods too. So
I bet there was.
There's a lot of surfing being done.
So what made you gravitate towards DK?
Mate, it's...
Had to compete against Eppo.
Right. Yeah. And the rest. Look, I've always liked something different. I'm not a mainstream sort of dude, so I'm different and I follow different stuff. So when I see good DK being done, I'm blown away by it. I sort of just go, wow, that's a totally different art form on a 42-inch bit of foam. So yeah, I guess like everyone else, like they try it. It's nothing that they want to do as such. It's just they're out there one day and they want to have a bit of fun and give it a go, and then all of a sudden you think, oh, I kind of like this, and you kind of stick to it. So, but the main big reason for me to really follow it through is when I was judging on the Australian Tour and state titles and regional titles, I guess back in the day and stuff like that, where DK was, the numbers in themselves were healthy, but DK was quite healthy as well. But the problem was I seen a decline in not the guys not wanting to DK. It was they don't want to come to the contest anymore because DK is a minority. It was they always got put out in, wait till the surf hits high tide and goes fat and shitty and onshore. Give all the prone guys all the good stuff, and and then the DK guys, because we've only got, so many numbers, we'll put them out a little bit later in the day and stuff. So they got a little bit over it. They started to just go free surfing basically. And that's when I sort of hooked on to some ideas of trying to keep them in the water. And that's where my passion come from. I just liked it. It was different. I'm not good at it, I'll tell you that, but it's just something that I like to do. I think it's fun. It keeps me in the water. And I don't know. I just sort of hooked onto it, and that's the side of bodyboarding that I like.
It's funny you say about watching good DKing, because last night I was flicking through YouTube and they on Wii Bodyboarding posted a clip, and it was like early days of Lackey and a few other crew.
Oh yeah, yep.
And it was like poetry. It was pretty epic, like watching like Lackey throwing the tail and stuff like that. I wish I could DK. I can stand up on a surfboard and turn that, but for some reason I can't get my left leg to talk to my right leg and get up on drop knee on a bodyboard. I don't know why. Don't know.
Keeping it in Port Mac for the moment before we sort of step away from there. PMBA and its role for you over the years. Like you're one of those people that's really stood out and developed in terms of, event management, organisation. You've judged all around the world and everything as well. Kind of interested in what the PMBA sort of stood for you, and also sort of, you end up going on to be president and so forth as well. So you've become a leader of the community, the bodyboard community up there. So how's that sort of stood out in your life?
Oh, it's a massive part of my life, mate. As I said, like joining the club early 90s, and having the pat on the back and joining the ranks of the life members that are in the club makes it that more special when you put a lot of hard yards into it, and I'm not the only one. Definitely, there's a lot of people that deserve a lot more kudos than me, but it gave me a bit of purpose, a bit of sense of I belong somewhere, and that's something that I like doing. I was really attached to it, and back in sort of I remember Mr. and Mrs. Eppo when they were staying at Flynn's Beach Caravan Park at the time, and God knows how many ciggies I smoked with John out on the porch, chewing over what we can do for the next comp and this and that, and all this sort of stuff. And it was just a local bodyboard comp, mate. You know what I mean? And we were just that passionate about doing better and better every time we get there. And I mean, this is back in the days when we used to have canvas tents with poles and ropes, and lugging 20 or 30 kilo tubs down the beach, to set up the club days and stuff. So,
how many comps were you doing a year at that point? Like,
oh, mate, as I said, we do one every month. So one bodyboard contest a month. But then we had the teams challenge, and we had one of those club monthly contests was a camp trip away to Point Plummer. So that'd be a 2-day event up there. Go up Friday after, have comp Saturday and Sunday, and come home. And stuff like that, and then obviously when not long after the team's challenge started, the David Goose Gosby Memorial started. So you had 2 major events within the club, plus I think that they were running 10 to 11. I think they only had 1 month off club comps on top of that. Plus then your club camp, like it was just full on, mate.
Yeah, and that's intense.
Yeah, and. Back then we had a lot more parental involvement, and that's what lacks today. It's more of a babysitting service, unfortunately, that some people see it as. And we need those hands on the ground. We need, the people in the canteen. You guys know all this, but you need the mums and dads to stick around, give a hand, and have some parental guidance there. To give them a bit of a clip under the ear every now and then to tell them to, pull their weight, get in line, come and help out, learn things about how these things run. You can't just rock up and expect everything to be run for you. So, it's been a massive part of my life, obviously. I'm still involved. Like, I still try and get there as much as I can when, the team's challenge and the Goose is on. When I sort of took over, those 2 events were very, very close to not running for the first time ever in almost 30 years. And I was like, no, that's not going to happen on my watch. So even if no club monthly contest happened, I would make sure that those 2 events would run just out of respect for Goose's mum, Jenny, and obviously for, the other clubs that have spent time coming to the team's challenge in itself right from day dot. The history is the most important part as well, is to keep those things running. So at the time, I think the club was only running about probably 4 events for the whole year, and then those two major events. And when I came back in, I said, no, we're going to run every month. Like that's why they call it a season. We need to get back to what we were doing, giving the kids value for money, all that sort of stuff. So got a lot of knocks on the head going like, it's never going to happen. It's impossible. You're asking too much. Yeah, we did it. We just turned up and did it. And we sort of got them back into the thick of things and made sure that those 2-tier events were, ongoing and had a bit of direction for the future.
I think sometimes it can be hard as well when you're in the organisational space where you've got so much you can give, and you want to see things continue to go and grow, and sometimes you really got to try and manage your own expectations and whatnot. So I take my hat off to anyone that's involved in the organisation of community sport or sporting organisations as a whole, because there's a lot of work, and we've talked about it in the past, Picky, there's a lot of work done by a lot of people that sort of is never really discussed. There's a lot of hours that go into these events, and like you said, you get people that turn up and they'll bomb out of a heat and they'll disappear. But some days you just need someone to carry the tub full of flags or something down to the beach for you. Like sometimes it's the littlest thing. So,
and at some point, weirdly, it becomes by a lot of people. Well, it's an expectation.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. Yeah, and you know, it doesn't stop there either. You know, you tow the trailer home, you wash the gear, you pull the gear out, you wash it out, you clean it, you put it back in, and you know, repack and make sure there's nothing left in the trailer that's wet, all that sort of stuff. Wash the rash shirts, you know, keep your gear good and all that sort of stuff, so the club has longevity with their equipment. I remember when I took over, I towed the trailer home, had to get it registered, and the guy just went, "Where do you live?" And I said, "Oh, just about 4 minutes down the road there, mate." And he goes, "Well, it's the trailer's staying here." And I said, "What for?" He goes, "Have a look underneath it, mate. You're literally gonna drive away, and you're gonna leave the wheels behind." It was mate. It was that rusted out. It had no shims in there. It had nothing, mate, and the floor was falling out of it. And I just sort of didn't want to believe it. Basically, I was like, "Yeah, whatever, mate. You're just trying to rip me for money." And I had a look under there. Holy weaver! It was just. Yeah, it was really, really bad. I mean, that trailer lasted us probably 10 years, don't get me wrong, but there's another project, you know, that comes on board. You got to try and fund and get a trailer built and, you know, specifics made and, you know, it's all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, as you mentioned, mate. But that, you know, dare I say it's part of the fun. Not.
We're very familiar with those little projects, aren't we, Watto?
Yeah, I remember watching Shane. We cleaned out the trailer at one stage, and I found out, like, I've known Shane for quite a few years, and I found out that he doesn't like rats or mice. And there was a bit of mouse poo in there, and then all of a sudden, old Shano's done the Houdini.
Yeah, no.
He's just there. I'm out of here.
I don't do mice or rats.
He's torched the trailer.
Put a snake in there. Surprise me with a snake, I'm all good, but rats and mice, that's no good.
Yeah, I was just thinking, Picky, like, you talk about the rash fest, I'm like, after each event, I've got.
Did that make you think, oh shit, did I wash out the rashies last time?
Not trying to dob you in, mate.
Yeah, I was going to say, we just got last year's rashies, courtesy of Shane, and they were washed and they were hung on the line at the back of my house. And
nice.
So you're involved with all that, and then you obviously didn't have enough on your plate, so you started drop knee sessions.
Yeah.
Tell us about the inception of that and why you launched that sort of little project.
Yeah, man. Like I just spoke about a little bit before, it came from when I was judging on the. So I started judging in '97. There was a pro tour event in Port Macquarie called the Saltwater Wine Pro. I had nothing to do with it. I knew it was on in town. And one of my mates just sort of rang me up and said, "Oh, what are you doing on the weekend?" I'm thinking, he wants to go out in the piss or something. That's cool. Yeah, nothing, man. What's going on? Let's do something. And he goes, "Yeah, you come and judge them with us." And I'm like, "Huh?" He goes, "Oh, we're short a judge. That event over at North Hall, it's going to be pumping, rah. And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know anything about that, mate. And like, I don't know how to judge." "Nah, you'll be right, mate. Haddo's going to run a level 1 course that after the first day, you'll be sweet." Okay. What do I need to do? And he said, "Just be at my house at 6. Sweet. See you then." So anyway, from there, first day of judging, had no idea. Surf was absolutely off its dial over at North Hall. Anyway, we get back to my mate's house and Haddo's running this, everyone's got a zinger box and we're out doing the judging course and he's run through this judging course with me. And from there, I was hooked. I was like, yeah, when's the next one? And they're going to pay you for it. I'm like, wow, this is cool. So anyway, I got super involved with it, forged a really good relationship with Haddo on the judging side. And we created BIO, Bodyboarding International Officials Group. We got, a level 0 plus the level 1 course going and all this sort of stuff. And from there, around about the 2000 mark, 99, 2000, as I said before, I seen the decline of the DK riders not sort of turning up to the events much anymore, although they were still riding. And I'm like, what's going on here? Asked a few guys like Sharpie and Grant Maloney and Pete Garrity and a few others. And I said, "Hey, what's going on?" And he said, fuck. Why are we paying $100 to come in this event and get put out in the shit all the time? Like, why, how come the pros always get the good conditions in the morning? Why don't they give us a go? I said, oh, let's talk to the people who are running the joint, And the excuse was then is that, we've got 96 pro riders here, we need to get through all their heats first, blah, 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 and then we'll get to you guys later kind of thing. And they just didn't see the value in it. Yeah, we're paying the same amount of money and we're just not getting a good run at the good conditions to show what we can do. And I said, all right, well, how do we get around it? And so we, any good Aussie invention is you sit down and have a couple of beers and nut it out. And, I think it was Ghetto, and it sort of just turned around and said, fuck, mate, just run your own one. Don't worry about them. I was like, well, I don't know how to run an event. I've never run one in my life. I wouldn't have a clue. And he said, you're at an event nearly every weekend judging, mate. Surely you had some sort of idea how to set one up. So anyway, I kind of went, oh, yeah, it kind of makes sense. So I taught 2001, I stayed on the tour and just sort of kept nutting people out and asking questions and watching, learning how the setup sort of happens and the draw and all that sort of stuff. And sort of halfway through 2001, I discovered MS Word and made a entry form and went out and got a few sponsors from Port and DKS was born. I started that the very next year in 2002, all thanks to my very first sponsor I went to was Simon Luke, who used to own the Breakwell Caravan Park. And at the time he was starting Festival of the Sun, his music festival in Port. And we sort of were on the same page of doing events and how do we do it and all that. And he said, mate, I'm in, let's do it. Sounds really good. And, so we went ahead and put this event on. And thanks to the PMBA as well, I basically hooked up their trail and used all their gear and all the, the hooter and siren and grass shirts and all that sort of stuff. And December 14th, we kicked off at Town Beach, and I think we had a full card at, I think it was about 48 entries. Had to knock back about 6 or 7 other entries that went over because I just couldn't fit any more people in the draw that Hutto had done for that day, just that one day event, maximum 48 people. And so I was sad about that. I was pretty pissed off, because I didn't want to exclude anyone. But, that's the way it sort of went. And, from sun up to sundown at Breakwell, we had 2 to 3 foot offshore the whole day. Couldn't have asked for anything better. And, that's what brought about our first eventual winner in Crispin Hughes. And, the rest is history, mate. It's been 22 years since that day, and I'm very, very grateful. Yeah.
So 22 years, 16 successful events run. What are some of the highlights during that time?
Definitely saying Crispin win that first event. And Sharpie will always, be in the back of my mind saying, tell him I got second in that first event,
Wow. I actually saw Crispin. Crispin's working at Cooley. There's a surf shop in Cooley Airport.
Yeah. So he's managing one of the stores there or something, as far as I know. Keep in contact with him every now and then. I drop him a message and stuff. So
Benny and I saw him. We were up there actually for Britt Kennedy's birthday.
Oh, right.
And we flew up there and coming through the airport and there's Crispin in the surf shop.
But other than that, mate, it's a roller coaster. You guys know that you have events sort of go up and down every year with numbers and stuff like that. The second year, I thought, wow, it's one quick story about that first year, and Dwayne McGlinchey. I don't know if you know Dwayne McGlinchey, but he's from WA. He can tell the story better than me because my brain is absolutely shot. But 5 guys jumped in a VS Commodore station wagon and drove from Perth to Port Macquarie for the first ever DKS.
Wow. That's great.
Insane,
how good's that?
Right? And for an event that had never run before in its entirety, DK only event, with no background whatsoever, you would drive 4,000 kilometres for a one-day event. I was like, holy shit, these boys are
dedicated to the cause.
Mad, mate. Tao Wu, I think, was in the car with them. And Dwayne to be able to tell you the other names. But, there were so many good little stories out of it, mate, as you said, trying to pick at the highlights. There's so many. The history that's on that trophy now is amazing. Like there's so many stories of Gary Thatcher, the only back-to-back winner ever in the whole 20-odd years it's been run. Grant Maloney's won the event the most time with 3 titles. Bud Miyamoto, when he came over in 2008, when he took out, we actually had a sister event down in Foster. Never lost a heat. Never got second in a heat. Won every heat of the whole 2 events. Never been done before. And still hasn't been matched. So there's so many things. Popey been in the contest for 20 years before he actually won his first event, you know. It's just incredible. And the dedication for these guys to come to the event all the time and just show up and have fun, and they make the event what it is. It's not me, it's not my event, it's the riders' event. They make it what it is. And I couldn't, it's so cliche, but I could never have seen or predicted what has happened over the 20 years of this event. And I'm very, very grateful, that's for sure. And there's plenty more to come. The history will just keep coming with, the amount of guys that really want to put their little badge on that trophy.
Yeah. Congratulations, mate, because it's we all know how hard it is running these events, and having something that's lasted, over that amount of time, 22 years, it's huge. Probably as part of that, though, like as you said, you've run 16 events over that 22 years. There was a little gap at one point. Sort of what led to that at the time?
There's a few things there. Like 2010, I just sort of I kind of broke down. I'd had enough. I just was fried, and I remember this will be a funny one for you, Brito, to have a little bit of a chat to the pleb about. But in 2010 was one of our best years, or one of the really good years that we've had surf-wise over at Northwall, and the right-handers all day were just epic, right? So, and the pleb was there, and he was surfing every heat really, really well. Got through right to the final against Grant Maloney, and Grant just got him on a few good waves. And anyway, come to the Prezzo, nobody knew. I stood up and announced that we had girls in bikinis in the bolo, in Port City Bolo. And the old boozos were like, "Well, Bazza, check this shit out, holy weaver, there's chicks in here with their swimmers on, holy shit," they were nearly having heart attacks over their schooners. And anyway, we did the Prezzo. Was there. Yeah, and we did the Prezzo, and we handed out all the stuff, the hoo-ha, and anyway, it got to the end, and I said, "Look, I've just got an announcement before we shut down and everything. That's it, I'm done. I've had enough, I'm out." And everyone just sort of looked at me, "Nah, you're shitness." And I went, "No," I kind of broke down a little bit. It was just a very emotional time. My mental health was sort of going down the drain, and I had a young family, and I had a lot going on. And I said, "No, that's it. DCAS is done. I've had enough. That's it. No more." And the pleb comes up to me and puts his arm around me, and he goes, "Well, you should have told me that this was going to be the last one." I went, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, if you had told me, I would have went better." My jaw just dropped to the ground and just went, "Thanks, mate." I'm like, wow, you would have went better. I don't think I've ever seen you surf that good in a contest, let alone beat in a contest. Man, he was ripping, But Grant's just a machine. And got you, mate. So, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And, we laughed it off in the end, but wow, what a comment. I would have done better. But yeah, so from 2010, that was me. I was done, mate. I was cooked. I needed to step away for a while. I needed to sort of reset, reevaluate where I was in life and stuff like that, being with a young family and a very low paying job and stuff like that. And we needed to find a house and, just the usual, shit that life throws at you. And at that stage, I kind of had spoken to Feasty for some reason one day, and he ended up mentioning he was working up in the mines in WA, and I was like, "Fuck, get me a job. I'm struggling," And he said, "Yeah, sweet, I'll get you one." And, thought he was bullshitting. So anyway, he got me a job in the mines, and I just said to Mrs. Mate, I can't knock back 120 a year. I'm going to go for it, And so, yeah, in between those few years, I just took time to sort of try and establish myself in the workforce, and never knew what the hell I wanted to do in my life. I found a little niche that I liked, and that was doing emergency responding in the mines, and I was a retained firey at the time as well with Fire and Rescue, or New South Wales Fire Brigade at the time. So really liked that sort of stuff, and took it on and didn't sort of really sort of settle down until I got accepted full time into the Fireys in 2016. So once I was settled in that, I just went, look, I can do this again. I'm happy. I'm in a good spot. Let's go. Let's do it again. And it's it was a hard time. It was I've never really sort of spoken about it, but I sort of really cracked down and fell apart in 2010 and 2011. Tried to get myself back on track, and so had to step away. Had to have that hiatus for a little bit.
I think that's really good you're talking about it. I think that it's good for everyone to talk about that sort of stuff, and it's one thing that does rear its head up, which is burnout and your mental health, especially with this sort of stuff. And there's sometimes you've just got to sit there and prioritize and say, well, you know what, like, yes, bodyboarding's a love or whatever it is, but sometimes you got to step away and go, holy shit, I've got all this other stuff going on at home. I need to look after my number ones, like my family and myself. So, no, it's really good of you to talk about that, mate. I think that's great.
I think sometimes you're allowed just to back off and actually just go surfing rather than actually do all the organisation and that as well.
Yeah, well, I don't. I think if that never happened, I think if I pushed through and it would be worse. To be the event probably wouldn't even be around. I think I would have just really burnt out and gone the hell with it and never came back. But that's what I really focus on now. Is I see this event now more as a weekend away for the boys. To sort of come away,
which is an awesome way to look at it.
Yeah, just come hang out. Like, there's always going to be a competitive side to it. It's an event. I get it. We have heats and we have a winner at the end. But most of the guys that come here really, it's their weekend, one little mark on the calendar for the year. They come, they enjoy themselves, they let loose, whatever they do. But it's just that they come and catch up and they hang out and they check in on each other. And we really push that point now is, while you're here, grab someone's number and put it in your phone and make sure you ring them in a month's time and stuff like that. So, and they really see the benefit of that now. And it's just created a bit of a different vibe. No, the vibe's still pretty much the same, but it's on a different level now where people are, really respecting that fact that, not everyone's doing the best. So
that's really good. I really like that sort of stuff. It's quite refreshing. Like you've built quite a community, and it's really, I think that you've done really well at that. And
thanks.
I see the excitement and the froth over DKS. I'm going to try and get there this year. I don't know how my wife's going to handle this. I'm not even going to ask her.
What I heard the words weekend away with the boys, and he's like, put me down.
Hey, mental health reset, love. I've got to
go. It doesn't help the weekend after I'll be going to the US, so I won't ask her for permission here because she doesn't listen to our podcast, so we're all good. But what other sort of challenges have you had over the years? Has there been anything else that sort of reared its head? I mean, that's a massive one to start with.
Yeah, that one's a big one. But if you want to just talk about the challenges of the event organisation, council's one. Other events that come to town as well. Where Port Macquarie's always been big for Ironman, touch footy, beach to brother runs and all this sort of stuff. So, and school holidays. We know you do something in school holidays, the price goes tenfold.
Yes, absolutely.
It's hard to try and lock in that weekend every year. You've got to really be flexible. And that's always been a big challenge. The environmental plan, that's always been a big challenge too, with less waste products on the beach, plastics, reusable containers, bottles, waters, all that sort of stuff. We've had to comply with all that. And I've been very lucky. Mitch Cox, a guy mate of mine from down Central Coast, he used to come compete all the time, was an absolute legend when I chatted to him about those sort of things. He had a hook up with, like a reusable cup and bottle, and he paid for that out of his own pocket for everyone that came and competed. So everyone had a reusable coffee cup or a water bottle or, stubby cooler sort of setup over a 3-year period. So there was no excuse when you came to DKS, you didn't bring a plastic bottle. You bought your own, reusable water bottle and stuff. So environmental plan was a big one we had to comply with. Obviously dune care and stuff like that, looking after the beach and stuff. So there's a lot of factors like that I have to do with the council, but they're all pretty set down now. So it's nice and easy. Funding's always a big one. Trying to get out and see local businesses and trying to get them to understand what we do and how, we're not always, this one weekend of the whole calendar year isn't always in the spotlight. So we've got to get out there and sort of push that point. And being very lucky, being a sole trader as an event, I do have a pretty good crew behind me that people don't know about. Cy with the artwork, Black Dog, like Mez, who runs Black Dog Inc. with the shirt, doing the shirts and the printing. Steve with Silver Quinn with the production side of things. Matt Brocky with the photos, Trev with the photos. Like they are DKS. They're the behind the scenes people that don't get seen and make it what it is. I just sort of stick my melon in front of the camera and people have to look at me, but it's hard. Then you got to deal with the media, try and get the media down there and get them interested and things like that. So it's a lot of stuff, but it all seems to roll into one quite smoothly at times, not all the time. But it's
one thing I've always loved with the DKS as well is you just mentioned Cy with the tees and all that sort of stuff. Like your tee designs are kind of iconic and been pretty out there and crazy over the couple of years, but they're always just stand out. Sort of, what's the idea behind that? Do you just let him have free reign with that stuff, or do you have a little idea that you sort of pitch to him first, or?
Always give an artist free reign.
Yeah. Well said, sir.
When I first met Cy and got him involved and I want to do this, and he just stood back and looked at me and went, "Okay, mate, you do what you want." But yeah, of course, I always pitch a little idea and here and there, but mate, I just leave it to him every year. I just say, mate, I just send him a quick little text message. How's the thing going? I've got to get it to the printer. Yep, sweet. And it's in my inbox the next week. The idea is already there. He knows exactly what he's doing. It's such an integral part of DKS, and everyone looks forward to those. It's just one of those things everyone looks forward to every year. Is what's the artwork going to be like this year? I reckon they'll. And then I'm getting orders from overseas. Very select guys that are going like, do you have any of those tees left, or this one, or the one with the snot coming out of his nose, and so it's been good. And Chris Apps too with Arcade Headwear over in China. He's been unbelievable and given us 100 caps sort of nearly every year. But if you're listening, Appsy, you need to follow up on this year, champion. But no, like that, everyone just plays their little part. And Cy is honestly the backbone of our social media type stuff. That's the artwork that we put out every year, and everyone just gags on those shirts, and it's been awesome. And Mez, like the printer, he's one of the best hand screen printers in Australia, if not the world, and we're very, very lucky to have him in our backyard dealing with all size mental artwork that comes through and how many different colours he's got a screen and all this sort of stuff. So, we're super stoked to have a good team behind the scenes, that's for sure.
I'm actually kind of interested. You're so big an advocate for DK, and the way you've described why you've created DKS and everything as well is really elegant, I think. And it actually makes me want to know what you think about DK on the World Tour at the moment.
Here, Shane, I'll just pull the pin on the grenade and just lob it over.
Just put it. I've just cast a little lure out in front of him and just doing a little wine.
You caught a marlin on this one.
How long have we got? Right. No, look, I'll tell you the truth. Look, back in 2005, I tried. I really did. I tried to include them. They seen how big the numbers were with a DKN event here that I was doing and stuff like that. Oh, you should do it. You should make this a stop on the world tour. And my head straight away just went, no, fuck right off. Like I'm good. I'm happy just doing what I'm doing. Because there's a lot of stuff to comply by. Yeah, you had to have a minimum prize money purse. You had to have this. You had to have that. And you're giving away 10% of it to be a promoter. I'm like, hang on a second. Like, no, sorry. I'd just rather go into the pocket of the people that are coming. Anyway, so, I kind of bent a little bit. Yeah, right, far out. Okay. So 2005 we did, it was called a regional world tour event, whatever that meant. But anyway, they were very accommodating, don't get me wrong, but it just didn't sit well with me. I don't know why. I guess because I'm so independent, I just didn't want to be like a corporate sellout type person, I guess, for the event, and wanted to keep it really genuine and just down to earth. So we didn't revisit that space, and we haven't. But at the moment, mate, look. Everyone. That's not only me. Everyone thinks it's a joke. I'll be honest, right? I'm not telling anyone anything new. Gaz has been on the tour last year. Gary Thatcher, he went out of his own way, did it last year. Turns around and Grant Maloney said it from day dot. As well. They call this the real world tour event, right? This is the real world title, the DKS event. I'm very humble by that. I don't promote that. I don't put it out there. That's what they are saying about me, and I'm cool with that. That's fine. That's an opinion of other people and how they perceive the event, and that's a big pat on the back for me. But I don't promote it. I have my views on the world tour, absolutely, because obviously, as you guys said before, I've judged on the world tour for a long time. I've seen the best and the worst of it, I guess. And it's at its lowest. I'm sorry, but it's plain and simple. Do
you feel that the same mistake's been made that you saw that originally made you launch DKS in the first place back in 2002?
Oh, it's way worse, mate. I think it's worse because where are the event? There's no event in Australia. There's no event in Hawaii anymore. It's all European based, and it's like that. I've had guys from Israel, from Canary Islands, from Peru, all come to this event for a one-day event. They know how expensive it is to get here, right? And we know how expensive it is to go the other way. So a lot of the guys from here are going, why am I going all the way over there for, like, even Sintra's not running anymore for the DK stuff. Like, why am I going all the way to Antofagasta for one event that crowns a world champion when there's hardly anyone on the world tour anymore? And look, this is not. I can hear everyone in the background chirping at me, going, "Oh, you're disrespecting Dub or Sammy or whatever." It's nothing like that. It's good on them for what they're doing. They're chasing their dreams, mate, and titles while they're young and happy and healthy, mate. Good on them. I don't have any issue with that. The issue is I don't personally think that it's a viable world tour at the moment, and hasn't been like that for a long time. So Anyway, next
there's nothing to take away from those guys. No, you're absolutely right. There's nothing to take away from those guys that you just mentioned. Sammy and Dave and Dave winning, 10 world titles is a magnificent achievement. So there's nothing wrong with that. But we're allowed to talk about the legitimacy of an event, and
100%.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like if we could do better, why can't we talk about it?
Yep. The problem is, Chano, is whoever's running the world tour. Doesn't matter who's doing it right now. Whoever's running the world tour or the committees and they don't talk to other events. They don't talk to us. I've never heard from any of them, trying to include me or trying to get an event in Australia or here or there. You just don't hear of anything. And for someone who's been an event organizer for over 20 years to not even be in the mix or ask the question, just ask a general chit chat question or, how do we make things better? Like it's off the chart, mate. How are we going to get better when people won't literally just have a conversation about trying to better the sport? just get a few opinions going and see where. I think they just think we're going to have a shot at them for some reason or something. I don't know.
Well, it seems to be the afterthought, really.
Yep.
Yeah, it's always a reaction, not a proactive thing.
Yeah.
So it's a shame. It's a shame.
In saying that, 2024, 2 DKS events, massive ones. Well, it's all positive, mate.
Yeah. Well,
there's no downside.
That's what happens.
We've got no downside here.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have a good team behind you, mate. People are keen. They want to do things, and it's over one discussion, and here we are. We're running the first ever pool event. With DK and Prone, just over a simple conversation. All right, let's get it happening. All right, done. We work together. We keep everything as honest as possible, above the table. Nothing's hidden. It's such a refreshing way to look at things, and when you can control that environment, so shit doesn't happen. Look at what you can do. So that the pool event that we're going to have at the end of August, with Bodyboarding Vic and the South Oz guys going at each other, and DKS on the other side, and mate, it's as I said, it's refreshing. It's great. Everyone's pumped and looking forward to it. Like I didn't even put my entry form on the internet. There was that many people hacking at me to be involved. And I've got, and let me tell you, I got some lashback, I tell you, because it wasn't on the internet, and people couldn't get a go at it. And, I didn't get invited, and all this sort of stuff. And it's just But that to me, then obviously tells you there's a market there. People want these sort of events, and I said, okay, well, there'll be plenty more in the future, and but everyone will get their turn. So, and then obviously DKS will keep running every year until I can't walk on the sand.
So to talk about the pool party a little bit, it's a great little sort of brainchild of yourself and our good mate Chris Watson right here, as well as Wade Wiedenbaum and Adam Williams sort of in the background as well.
Yep.
So the four of you have been working really hard to put this event together.
Yeah.
Boys, tell us a bit about it. What are you have a bit of a chat about it. Tell us what's going on.
I think it all sort of came about because I've always wanted to run an event in the pool, and we'd sort of discussed it. The same thing as Picky said. We'd sort of discussed it in the past, and we're like, let's do it. And so I think we started meeting it late last year, earlier this year, and one of the biggest issues with the pool was the cost. And the one thing that's been racking my brain for the last 4 years is how do you make an event in a pool achievable and to run to a budget, because at the end of the day, someone's got to pay for it.
Yeah.
And I'll put the idea to Picky. If I rent the pool out for multiple hours, you have one side, I'll have the other side, run them as almost like 2 separate events, and just 3 hours of bodyboarding non-stop. And we started putting pen to paper, and there's a lot of things that go on in the background, and I'm really excited about it because it's new, it's different, it's something we haven't done before. I mean, like we've had experience doing the social sessions in the pool that become boogie nights, and we've done that, but this is the next level again. And as Picky said, it's so exciting to see how many people are interested in it.
Yeah.
So pretty much the format's going to go, Picky's going to have DKS on one side, so he's going to do an hour of lefts, an hour of rights, and we're going to do the same.
Yep, so all surfers will get to surf left and right.
Yep. On our side, we've got 9 Vicos and 9 South Australians. And so so
that's going to be a sort of a state of origin type event?
Yep. So all up, we'll have we're going to go for a slightly different format with the judging as well. So what we're going to do is each rider from each team will submit 2 of their best clips using the AI, using FlowState. That'll get judged by a board, and then we'll have a presentation up at the 3 Blue Ducks afterwards. So really unique format, and it gives the riders, it gives them choice, saying, these are what I consider my 2 best waves. So No, it's a really cool sort of format. It's different. It's something that hasn't been done before, and I'm super excited as well. So not only that, we've offered the middle hour up, which will be offered to Bodyboarding Vic members and as a free surf type thing. So you'll get a free surf and a T-shirt with that epic artwork we were just talking about. I'll tell you what, I'm super pumped on the artwork. Like, Picky's crew's knocked it out of the park with the artwork. It's going to look amazing on a black T-shirt. So, it's a really cool event, and it's something different, and I'm really stoked about it. It's something that I'm really, really happy about that we've got to this part. And, it's going to be epic.
So, Picky, how do you see the sort of DKS side of the pool running? What are you envisioning for that?
We're pretty much doing the same as what I does. So Flow State will come on board, and the guys will. We've got 18 max, obviously, as well. So they'll go out on, say that, for an hour on the left. They'll get come in and get their files off Flow State, and they'll go have a look through them, pick their 2 best waves, and they'll submit them from the right and the left to me, and then I'll create a top 3 from there for the Prezzo. So that's pretty cool. We've got some prize money and stuff from the entry fees and to give away. And then we've got a lovely Attica wetsuit to give away. Thanks to the lovely people at Attica. A few other little things to give away, and stuff like that. So I'm pumped to see what these guys can really actually do in this pool, because we all know, like, the waves are fairly similar, like they're constant and they're fairly similar. So I think it's going to, from the DK side, it's going to bring a whole new perspective on how hard these guys go at these waves. Because they know, like, okay, bang, I'm going to paddle back out. I'm going to get a pretty similar wave the next one. And if I didn't get what I wanted on that first one, I'm going to try it again on the next one, and I'm going to better it, and I'm going to go harder and bigger, and all that sort of stuff. So I think this is probably, dare I say, the future for DKS. Is to get these guys into these pool waves where they can actually try different stuff on very, very similar waves, and really push the limit that way. I reckon they'll try a heap of different moves that they probably wouldn't, say, out at Lighthouse or Town Beach or wherever we surf, because of the dynamics of, not every wave's the same in the ocean. So, I think it'll be a different vibe. I think it'll be very, very competitive.
Yes.
And there's a couple of very calculated riders that are going to turn some heads, I think. So I think the format is good. I think it's really good. I think what I come up with an absolute cracker. Let's get it out there. Let's get it, AI tracked, and it's filmed from exactly the same spot for every wave, for every person. So there's no missing of a judging panel, missing a little bit, or down the line missing a bit and stuff like that. So I think it's super even, and the way it should be. Yeah.
And it covers sort of, your main ticking the box of, we're not pushing DK out into shit waves at a comp site.
Love it. And I think that's obviously why people are so keen, because they know they're guaranteed waves. I mean, do you think Lackey would turn up if we weren't guaranteeing him waves? Probably not.
That's the funny thing, right? Because Watto and I are really lucky that we've surfed with Lackey in the pool as well previously.
Yeah.
We get to surf regularly with Dane Pope in the pool regularly.
Yep.
And we watch both those guys just absolutely rip it apart. Yeah. So, seeing all these other guys come down like Tyce Ryan and there's a lot of other Vico guys as well. But give us an idea of, like, how have you gone about your entry system? Have you invited guys? Have you sort of opened it up, or how's that sort of work?
It had to basically go back to an invite situation. As I said, I had that many people hit me up before the entries even. Well, they never hit the internet. I put that clip together that we worked on and put that out, and everyone's like, "Oh, what's this? What's this?" Oh, no, sorry, not what is this? I am there. I need to have a spot. Thank you. And I'm like, holy shit, what's going on here? And anyway, so I couldn't put the entry form on the internet because I would have been smashed, because I already had the 18 spots filled, or plus, and so I had to basically go back to what I thought was fair for the people who had already hit me up, So I went back to I broke it down to past DKS winners that got the first go, past DKS riders who had come for a certain period of time. So, right from the start sort of thing, how many years they'd been to the event. And then obviously from there, that pretty much filled everything. And then,
so realistically, with those 2 points that the way you invite, so that really the only reason Lucky got an invite is because we're sponsoring the event.
Yeah, okay, you got
you know why Lucky got an invite?
You just remember that, Lucky.
Lucky got an invite because everyone wants to see him in September. Sorry, it's late August.
Into
the wave pool in a springy.
Well, we all remember. Let's go back a little bit, and why I did invite him was he got second one year.
and for him, you reckon second's as good as first?
Well, when he said he could have done better. Look,
here's your opportunity, Lucky. Get onto it, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, I'm waiting for the recourse. Don't worry. But look, we obviously. He's the biggest name in Australia. Like, come on, he's the most exposed DK rider in Australia. So it was a bit of a
he's paid you a bit of cash for that, Jesus.
Yeah, owe me that one, Lucky. But yeah, look, and it filled up that quick with just those names.
Yes.
So yeah, and then you obviously you've got to look after the locals as well, like Doc and Welshie and Popey, and the guys that are down there surfing it all the time. Matty Tyndall. So we had to. It was quite a wide range that you take 4 out of those 3 categories. There's 12. Plus the hanger on is Lucky. So they filled up straight away. And unfortunately, those people that did contact me and express their disappointment on missing out, I do apologise. I really do. But as I said, it really just goes to show that people want these sorts of events.
Yeah. And just so all the listeners know, it's important that we say it, spectators are welcome to this event.
Absolutely.
There's no payment or charge or anything like that to get in.
Yep.
It's at Urban Surf Melbourne, not Sydney. So come to Melbourne, August 31st.
Yep.
So
Aaron Buckstrom's coming from up the Goldie Way, and he's bringing his family in that as well because he knows that they can come in and check it out and have a look at it and stuff. So look, anyone is welcome to come along. As you said, it's free reign for those 3 hours. Come in and check it out, and you're going to see some of the best riders in the country, attacking both sides of this thing.
And then afterwards, stay around and have a beer and have a feed and talk a lot of rubbish.
Beer. I can't see just a beer happening, to be honest.
It's $17 a beer. It might be limited. One thing that, Picky, I'm really excited about the format as well, as opposed to a normal event where you paddle out for 20 minutes. You've got to roll the dice and hope like something happens. You got 2 hours. You got 120 minutes where you've got repeatable waves, both left and right. So we're evening the playing field the whole way through the show.
Yeah.
And you can pick your best waves out of that. So, it'd be good, like, for the DK side, boys on their backhand and forehand, like, that'd be really exciting. Like,
for sure.
I'm pumped for it.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward. I think everyone is, mate. I know there are people that are going to be down there on the 29th trying to get a few little sneaky sessions in beforehand. So, it's game on already.
Awesome.
So we tend to start rounding out the potty with quick fire questions.
Ooh, here we go.
Are you ready to roll, mate?
Let's do it.
Favorite band?
Well, growing up in the 80s and 90s, mate, I was very much a grunge sort of era for me. So, look, there's plenty. I don't have one. I can't sort of single out one. Metallica, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains was a big one for me. Pearl Jam, Nirvana, all those sorts of ones. But Alice in Chains probably sticks hard for me. I really admired Lane Staley's voice before he unfortunately passed away. He was next level, that guy.
All right, favorite film?
Bit of a no-brainer for me. It's Ace Ventura. Yeah. I still remember the story. If I can just tell it quickly, my best mate, Michael Gordo, was living out at Lighthouse at the time, back at Lighthouse Beach. And we were heading out. I was heading out that way for a surf one day, and of course it was before we had our licenses and stuff. And anyway, a stinking hot day, heading out to his joint. And he goes, "Oh, don't come out just yet. I'm just going to duck into town and back." And I went, "Duck into town? Like what? Into Port Macquarie?" He goes, yeah. I'm going to rent a movie. And I'm like, "How are you getting there?" He goes, "Oh, I'm just going to walk in." I was like, "Mate, that's an hour plus walk just to get into Port Macquarie. And then you got to come back." And he goes, yeah. I'll ring you when I get home. So I stuck at home. He gives me a ring about 3 hours later and goes, "Get around here. I've got this wicked movie. We're going to watch it." I'm like, "Okay." We get around there. It's Ace Ventura. So he'd walked from Lighthouse Beach all the way into town in Port Macquarie and back just to rent that movie, because when it first came out, he was so excited. And yeah, mate, I just sort of the first time I watched it, I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" This guy's just a raving lunatic, you know. But oh, mate, it is one of the best films for me.
Yep.
Favorite car?
Oh, my 1966 HR Special.
Ooh,
damn! I wish I hadn't let that one go. Baby blue, white roof, 4-door, 186, 5 on the floor, where I put an Opel box Toyota 5-speed in it. Oh, mate. Spion, I had to depart with that one at the time for money, but anyway, we move on.
I got told a little story about your old man's a Holden man as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, still got the HG Prem in the backyard.
Yeah,
fully restored. He bought it from a bloke's shed out at Dubbo back in the day. It was Mission Brown, and so my old man was a panel beater spray painter by trade, and at the time he was working at a smash repair joint in Port Macquarie when he bought it, and he talked the boss into making it a little bit of a self-project for himself, and using all their gear and spray booth and all this sort of stuff. And so he fully rebuilt it from the ground up. He stripped it all back and turned it into this dark electric blue colour, put a V6 VP engine in it, and a few little mod cons like that, 5-speed gearbox, and but the rest is pretty stockers. But yeah, still in the backyard, mate. And he's been through a fair few. He's been through some Sunbirds and some Tiranas and all sorts of things. But doing his Starlight charity runs back in the day. But yeah, he's still got the HG, thank God.
Is it true you almost wrote it off?
Mm-hmm. Where'd you hear that?
You got sources, buddy.
No way. Jesus, fuck, you've done your research there, mate. Oh, shit. Far out. No way.
It's funny what you can find on the internet.
Okay. Yeah, no, we'll as I just mentioned, we used to do Starlight charity tracks for raising money for the Starlight Foundation, and I convinced him to go on it one year. I was annoying the piss out of him, and he's like, it's like, "No, it's my weekend away, mate. I can ease up." Anyway, so he's got me on board one year, and we took the HG Prem, which is such a shock to me. I was like, "Wow, you're taking this out on the dirt roads out the back of nowhere, and doing 4,000 Ks in a week in it." Righto. So anyway, I convinced him to finally get behind the wheel and have a steer for one of the stages. And anyway, you get the map book given to you of the whole trek, where to go, where to turn here, and cattle grids here, and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, it's like a rally. Old man's going, "Right, we turn left here. Oh, slow down, we've got to go right. Oh, there's a cattle grid. Watch the fence." Anyway, we're coming up to this one dirt track corner, and it has a photographer's little symbol on it. He goes, "Oh, don't go too hard here, but there's a photographer on the corner." "Ah, yes, sir." Here I go. Whacked it in a third, back in a second around the corner. Round I go, thinking, I'm going to get this long fish tail slide out for the camera. Mate, I ended about 2 inches in front of a 40-foot gum tree. And the old man just looked at me and he went, "Just put it in reverse. Take it slow.
Undo your seatbelt. Get out.
And when you pull up on the side of the road, I'd like you to get out." and that was it. I was gone.
Wow.
So the photographer pissed himself laughing that hard that he didn't get any shots of me coming around the corner because he could tell where I was going, and I was heading straight for this tree. So he waited until we took off down the road, and he went over and took photos of the tracks going up into the tree where I skidded right in front of the tree. They came out that night, and it wasn't pretty.
God.
That's awesome.
Sometimes.
All right, we'll pump through the rest of these questions. Yeah. Favorite TV show?
Let's go. Gee whiz. You can't really go past Seinfeld, I guess. It was one of my faves. Yeah.
Yep. Favorite bodyboard film?
Anything out of Strohe's range. I reckon they were groundbreaking. Obviously, my growing up era. I don't know Friends is massive as well, and of course it's got Roach in it.
I think you and I are similar vintage, aren't we?
Yeah, and
I'm the same as Spratt anyway.
Yeah. So anything from Strohe, because he frequented Port a fair bit, obviously with Eppo, North Wall, and up to Plummer, and all that sort of stuff with the Murrays and all the other pros that were there.
That was so influential at the time.
Yeah, super groundbreaking. Well done, Strohe.
Yeah.
What's your favourite bodyboarding film section?
Oh, anything from Roach in the No Friends series. Yeah. Loved every minute of that stuff, mate. He was just a terror.
I think there's a lot of people that will agree with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you ever been mistaken for somebody famous?
Mr. Hanky.
Wow, was not expecting that.
Wow. No, I'm kidding. That'd be a no.
That was a good answer. I reckon it's the best we've had. Wow.
No, I haven't, mate. No. I'm a one-off, mate. They broke the mould when I was born, mate. No.
First board.
Trendy Bendy. Yeah, it came out Trendy Bendy. It was a bright orange. I remember had a wicked nose lift, 2 fins on the bottom. Lasted about half an hour before I put about 400 creases in it. It was that bendy. So yeah, thanks, Mum, for the Christmas present back in the day. But yeah, she didn't last long.
Favourite wave?
Wow. Lighthouse on its day is. I like left-handers, and funnily enough, being a natural footer, drop knee. But mate, there's so many memorable sessions out at Lighthouse back in the day.
Yeah.
But of recent times, Agonal in Samoa.
Yeah. Yeah, Lighthouse has got some memories at that beach.
Mm-hmm.
Got a great photo of my brother I took years ago now. It was probably 20 years ago on a trip up there.
Yeah, nice.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's a good beach up there.
Yep.
Favourite surf trip?
Surf trip, definitely to Agonal in 2011. That to me was to see so many DK guys in the one spot, and you couldn't hold back. Obviously, like no one was holding back. Everyone was there pushing each other, and I think some of the Grant, Dorso, Sharpie, Welshie, and Popey, and all that sort of stuff. They were in the prime of their life, mate, and they were just tearing it up in some pretty shallow waves, 2 waves of consequence, and that would have been definitely my favourite surf trip.
Is there a clip of that out anywhere?
Not a clip, no. So we made a funny quick story. And it always comes back to the bloody pleb. He was massive in these he was in freaking every riptide, taking up way too many pages. Anyway, we did this trip. We got the most amazing photos, and Brocky had a grin from ear to ear, packaged it up, took it into Riptide. I think Jethro Lyons was the editor at the time, going, fuck, we've got enough photos here to run fucking 20 pages, right? Anyway, took it in. He said, mate, I'd love you to do a story on these DK guys. I know they're not, top name riders like Roach and Blackie and all this sort of stuff, but they're underground, they rip. We got wicked photos of this trip. Do you want to have a look at them? He said, yeah, absolutely. Had a quick look and went, yeah, it's just not what we're after. And mate, Brocky was going to give them to him for free. Just say, look, we just want some exposure. We just want, our trip, put in there, blah, blah. And they knocked it back. And I was so pissed because now no one's really seen those photos mainstream. We put it.
Right.
We went to. Brocky went to the Apple store at the time, created a photo book out of it, and mate, it is my pride and possession that sits in my glass cupboard right next to the DKS trophy.
Right.
Because to me,
we'll try and get a few images up.
Yeah. To me, that really sticks it to the mainstream magazines at that time. Going, well, you fuckers wouldn't support us, so we went out and did it ourselves.
Yeah.
They just wanted that cover of Lucky in the white suit three times.
Billabong weren't paying, were paying their wages and not us. So,
Get that. Yep. Favorite move,
mate? Just a simple old barrel. Yeah, I don't think there's anything more exciting to me in my surfing career than experiencing what a barrel gives you. There's nothing out there. Everyone can do a turn or an open face bottom turn or other things, but actually getting yourself inside one of these amazing pieces of water is just it's life changing. Until you experience it, I don't think there's nothing like it.
100%.
Yeah. Lastly, favourite board.
DKS board, mate. Absolutely. So two of my favourite shapers, Glenn Taylor, who's a local guy in Port now, and everyone knows Glenn. He used to shape for Turbo back in the day, and now he's doing his own thing with Project Bodyboards. And Ken Nagatsugawa in Japan, who does Cleve, out of his. I've stayed with Ken. I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, but Ken's very, they are very protective of their stuff. But Ken makes these boards out of his own house, and the precision his stuff comes out with is second to none. It is just amazing. They're such good craftsmen, and the Japanese people they're perfectionists. He makes insane boards. So him and Glenn, and Glenn sort of, got my own DKS stamp at the time and was happy to make boards, custom boards for me to put my own stamp on them and help guys just stay in the water. I would buy boards for people just, that were, sort of on their way out, I guess, and not surfing too much. And I'd just stick another board under their nose and go, here, mate, make sure you get out in the water and keep the stoke going. So kudos to Glenn for starting that project with me. And then Ken, obviously, when we were doing some stuff with him as well. Unfortunately, with the prices of freight out of Japan, it's just unviable to get boards off him anymore. Until things sort of become a little bit cheaper with freight and stuff, but just a bit of a sad situation. But yeah, the DKS boards for me really hit home because they obviously mean a lot to me.
Yeah, freight with bodyboarding at the moment is an absolute joke.
Yep,
freight I'm just saying anything. That on the record. It's an absolute fucking joke.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So one last thing I want to sort of bring up, just because it's a clip that makes me smile every time I see it, and it is. Last year, our good mate Nathan Clark won the national title for Grand Masters up at Port Mac. And I just love that you're on the spot, first one to congratulate him. You run into the frame, and then you got Watto and my brother Mark all running in together. Can you just tell me a bit, being, Sprat's good mate, I'm just interested to hear what that meant at the time.
Oh, it meant everything to me, mate. It's quite emotional actually talking about it. To grow up with someone and then to see his mum and dad on the beach as well.
To
see that
his dad missed it.
I'll get to that in a sec, but it's classic Chubbs. Anyway, but to be on the beach standing there watching, coming down to that last, the mad minute, he needs a decent score. He's running fourth. I think, come on, mate, you can do this. You're a tin ass. We always call him tin ass. He always pulls something out of his ass. Surely something, and then bang, this wave comes. And straight away, being a judge, I knew watching that whole heat that he got it for sure, 100%. I was 30 metres in front of anyone. I was just like, this is definite. This is concrete. You've won for sure. And of course, the deliberation, the making sure everyone's got the right score and before they announce anything, and Sprat sort of looking at me going, what? And I'm like, fuck, you've got it for sure, mate. You've got it for sure. And oh, no, I haven't heard anything. And then the elation, fuck, I got it. And like, oh, mate, I'm spewing Stewie wasn't there because he's his brother. It would have been, so good to have him see that live. And Chubbs, oh dear old Chubbs, Feddington. He's called it in the last minute. He's done no good. He's lost, bloody hell. What have I done coming down here to watch this shit? And he's gone to put the chairs in the car. 30 seconds later, his son's won a national title. He's missed the whole fucking thing.
I love Chubbs after every heat. He's like, Nathan, you've got to do more of those twirly whoop-de-doo things.
Just amazing.
One of my favourite, the whole moment was absolutely incredible. Always epic to see a state title, a national title, and it was amazing. And as team manager, it meant a stack, as you said, quite emotional. But one of my favourite moments was when we were flying out. And we're all sitting at Port Mac Airport, and Mark and Spratt are on the Bonza Express, and I'm on Qantas, and we're all sitting there at the same time, all flying out at the same time. And Chubbs goes over to the air hostess and tells her that they've got a national title holder on board, and apparently they're sitting there on the plane. And, they announced that Spratt won the Australian title over the PA. And
would not surprise me.
And even wilder is one of the guys out of his heat was on the exact same plane.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Oh, it was probably Justin Kirkpatrick.
It was?
Yeah, Juzzo. Yep. Guarantee it was. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so... it cracked me up. Oh, Chubbs, what a legend.
Yeah. He's next level, that guy, Feddington. And his mum's so delightful, and she was running down with tears in her eyes. And, mate, it was a very, very special moment. I'm super stoked for him. And, it pushes me to sort of, to keep surfing as well, because, just to have that elation and that stoke still, and, he's a very, very competitive fella, and obviously just being a Fiji with him it doesn't stop, mate. He's the first one in the lineup, the last one out, and always encouraging and pushing, and getting the most out of life. He's squeezing that lemon, mate. That's for sure.
I heard a rumor that Popey was like, "How's this bloke do it? He smashes beers all night."
He had a good upbringing.
I think last year we got home, and he's like, I'm just we'd had a few beers at the bowler, and he's like, I'll just have a cheeky red. Next thing the bottle's empty.
Oh, mate, that's mate. That's from day dot, mate. He used to buy us the VB throwdowns for when we weren't 18, and we'd meet him down at Mimosa Park Hut at the park, and he'd cling, 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 cling down the road. He'd come down with a little case of throwdowns, and give us $8 each, boys. We're on.
Legend. Legend.
No, it was a very, very good time, and I'm very, very grateful that I was there to be able to experience that. It's with one of my best mates. It was really, really good.
Yeah. Well, Clayton, mate, we appreciate you coming on, mate. It's much appreciated, and you got some real good insight into everything drop knee, and it's going to be great when you come down here for the event. And just to remind everyone again, Urban Surf, Bodyboarding Vic versus DKS Pew Party. Pew.
Oh, dear.
Bring your floaties and you're inflatable for you go.
Let's all get down there and have a bit of fun.
Can't wait to get you down, mate, and we'll be having a couple of beers. That is for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thanks very much for having me. I just thank my family and friends too for everything they've done for me since 2010. It's been, it's certainly not forgotten. Cheers.
Much appreciated, mate, and thanks for coming on. That's the Close Out Bodyboard podcast for this week, crew, and we'll be back very soon. Cheers.
Shout out to the guys that helped make this production. Sam Watson, Rob Porteous, Michael Jennings, Mark Britton, and some bloke called Ben Oborn.
Oh, no. The David Lee Roth.
I've heard a rumour that he's actually stuck in Apollo Bay Bakery right now, which has just won an award for the greatest pie, like every bakery.
Yeah, did you hear what sort of pie?
No, what?
It was Thai prawn.
Yeah.
Thai prawn. We bought a Thai prawn pie.
Good Lord.
Wow. Benny Wood.
Yeah, Benny.
Yeah.
All right, cheers, crew. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.